Welcome to the iNetrepreneur Radio Show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network for magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it's Robert W. Jones. I like to put the W in there. Yeah, some people say, wow, I like to say it's Wesley. That's my middle name, Robert Wesley Jones. It is Thursday. My goodness, 2:30. It's another week on the show. Last week, we had John Verico and Daniel Faust on the show. And this week, we have two new superstars for me to talk to. I'm so excited. I have Tiffany Myles and Melvin Boone. I want to go through a little bit of what's going on in the iNetrepreneur Network. And, please, I want to remind everyone that the #1 international award-winning best-selling book, #4, 365 Days of Abundance Quotes. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm on the 5. Gratitude Quotes. Wow. Gratitude Quotes is at Amazon and other places that carry wonderful, beautiful books like that. You can go to mybook.to/Art of Connection 4. Again, that's mybook.to/Art of Connection 4, the number 4, to get your book. You will not regret it. It's full of information. It's full of connections, and it creates a lot of impact for those that are a part of this wonderful community and book series. Also, please, like us at Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. Again, that's /iNetrepreneur Radio. Or you can go to YouTube, youtube.com/iNetrepreneur Radio. Just bookmark us. I'm telling you, just bookmark us, because no one can spell iNetrepreneur Network, radio, magazine, whatever it is. But you know what? If you bookmark it, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Also, we have 2 magazines that we produce here at the network. One is the iNetrepreneur Network magazine.com, and also our other magazine, the contemporarywoman.com. Both magazines, you can go there, you can subscribe and get the magazine delivered to your email box for free. Yes, FREE. And so, please do that and support the wonderful entrepreneurs and business owners that we have in our network. Next, we also have a great place for you to see what's happening in the community. We put on almost 1,000 meetings and events per year, and you can go to ntevents.net. That's www.ntevents.net to learn more. Plus, I'm still announcing our new Phoenix Central chapter. If you are in the Arizona area and you're close to Phoenix, just drive down the street to our Phoenix chapter. We have partnered with the Arizona Better Business Bureau, and we're looking for you to come celebrate and have some connections with us there. Also, we started up our International Author Literary Series class. And last week we had a discussion and some training on AI, the best 10 tools for authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs to use if they love AI. And then this week, today, our class concluded, and we did a what I call a sandbox think tank. And so a bunch of the members of the Art of Connection book series came out and did some wonderful think tanking with the rest of us. So enough of that. I really want to get to the stars of the show. And my first star is coming on right now. She is Tiffany M. And, I say there's only an M. The whole name's not there. Now, I know you, Tiffany, is Tiffany Myles of Amora Notary Services. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Hopefully you are too.
I am doing well. I could come up with something creative, but I don't want to scare anyone. Again, I am with Tiffany Myles. She's a best-selling author in the book, The Art of a Connection, by the way, a military mom and founder of Amora Notary. You can contact her at notaryisign@gmail.com. That's notaryisign@gmail.com. Or you can call her at 480-487-3049. I'm so excited about you being here today, Tiffany, with me. And Tiffany, you and I mean, we go back more than a year or two, don't we?
We go back, to when I first moved to Arizona. So yes.
Yep. And quite frankly, when you came here from out of state, I hadn't been here that long myself, and I was really just trying to get my world straightened away. And, the way that I thought about getting my world straight was like, being a part of a chamber, being a part of networking groups, other leads, type of organizations. And I kind of found when I moved out here and I was living in Santan Valley, which is a local suburb in the Phoenix area, there wasn't really a lot going on. And so I had to go out there and just create something. And what's really crazy is you were one of the first people to actually be a part of what was called Network Together back in the day. Remember that?
It was in a closet, I feel like.
No, it was really funny because, I was talking about it earlier today, and the original name was Beyond Bagels and Coffee in the Morning. And I like to tell people, I'm like, well, it probably had to go to Network Together because we weren't having very much success with a networking group that was called Beyond Bagels and Coffee in the Morning. So go figure, it's all in the name anyway, right?
Right. Yes, it is.
So, Tiffany, I kind of want to go back in your life. I mean, you are like me. I have a saying that says, if you haven't lived, at least 4 lives by the time you're 40 years old, you just haven't lived. And like me, you've been a chameleon. You've done many different things to get to where you are now. Tell us a little bit about your work history and background so we can kind of get a perspective on, how you became you now.
Well, of course, I graduated from high school. I am the first generation and only high school and college graduated. So I graduated from Kent State in Ohio. I'm not one of those fans of the school, but I did graduate from there. I started off in the medical field, actually. I wanted to be a doctor and a nurse. So that didn't happen. I started off as a medical assistant, and I added notary then when I was pregnant with my son. My oldest son will be 25 in June. So I added the notary, and adding that notary, I saw that it was a huge need for the elderly. So I do specialize with elderly, advocate for elderly abuse, just because the elderly are often overlooked with, legal documentation. So I started, of course, in Ohio, moved it to Arizona. And since I've been here, I have continued to add multiple services under my notary business, from marrying individuals to coordinating weddings to assisting attorneys, from estate document planning to also just doing the real estate transactions with people buying, selling their homes, refinancing. And I'm continuing to add as I speak now.
And you are. And so this is why I love having a little bit of an overview to kind of come back and deep dive a little bit. I now I understand what makes, me like really resonate with you, wanting to be a doctor, wanting to take care of people, getting into the medical field. Although that's not what you pursued, to me, it shows that you have an appetite for people and you have an appetite for helping others.
Yes.
But if we even take a step back, I mean, look, the first person to graduate high school, go to college, graduate to high school, I'm sure there were allies and fans of yours, but then there probably also were distractors as you were doing this process too, weren't there?
There were distractors, but I was sheltered as a kid. I was raised by my maternal grandmother, and it was, you need to read, you have to go to Bible study, you must attend church. And so I was really sheltered growing up. I wasn't a TV person. I had to read books, and I had to be involved in extracurricular activities. So anything extra was just a treat for me. Even prom was a treat, to be honest.
Well, and when you say that they were a treat, for you, was it because, let's say being sheltered or being siloed by grandma, so to speak, in a way, do you think that helped you actually become more reflective in how you approached life?
I do. I feel that, because now it seems like I'm reliving that in my, if you haven't lived 4 times, I'm going to be living 5 times soon, since my birthday's next month. But I think that has prepared me to be in the situation and sit in rooms that I never saw myself being in. And it's really helped me along the way to have that exposure on multiple levels overall, whether it was locally, nationally, or even globally.
Yeah. And, and you've done a lot to, I have a saying that says, what good is personal development if you're not going to use it? And I mean, quite frankly, in the last decade, you've really, put it into practice and you've really tested yourself. I mean, in a certain respect, you've tested yourself so much and you've held to your convictions so much. It's almost left you houseless at a time, but you've still held to your convictions. And now you're starting to see some of the fruit from holding on to those convictions. Tell us a little bit about the trials and tribulations of, pretty much being without a house for a while.
Well, so I've been an empty nester. It'll be 6 years in June. My oldest, who's in the Army, he was the first one, of course, to leave. And that was a huge transition, very huge transition, a lot to get used to. And the youngest, that's 22, that's studying to be a pharmacist, him leaving. So, and he went back to Ohio. So I can honestly say my first 4 years without children in the home was very difficult for me. It was hard to embrace. I felt that I lost something, which I did because my boys are close to me. And I had to sit back and really realize where was my next calling. I probably was more afraid than not knowing what was going to happen next. So I started to figure out these last 2 years, probably since COVID started, that I needed to do more. I found myself lost in the house and I'm like, I need to get active.
Yeah.
So I started to get more active within my businesses, bowling and tournaments. I went back to things that I learned as a child, roller skating and bowling. And I've made that more of what I do now.
But, and I think that's really important. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we spend so much time on what we do. We forget to do things, for us. We
Yes.
forget the self-care. We forget to work on ourselves. We forget to dance in the rain, and follow the sunshine, so to speak. But you brought up some things that I think are pretty fascinating to me. And I think a lot of, single mom entrepreneurs, need to kind of look into what you said. When we met, your kids were 12 and 15. Now they're 22 and 25. I mean, we talk about how our kids change so much, but my goodness, as a parent, don't you change too during that time?
Yes, I changed. I feel like I transitioned. I feel like I sat back and wanted to talk to my children more of how I could give them more, even though they're at adult ages. I still want to provide them more, leave them a legacy. So that is what I'm doing now, is leaving them a legacy that they can say, my mom did this, she lived her life.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. And it's something that there's a question that I ask in one of my workshops. And the last question is if you were to leave a legacy, what would that legacy look like? And what's really funny is there are 8 questions before that. And people usually have pretty good answers for the first, 8 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a workshop called, what is your business voice? And so we go through all these questions and we develop and we curate a business voice. But then when we get down to that legacy, it's that one space where most business owners fail. And, and I tell people, I'm like, you need to understand, if you're an entrepreneur, it's very different from a freelancer.
Mm-hmm.
An entrepreneur builds a business so it can be sold and live on. Mm-hmm. Or it can be passed on. Whereas a freelancer, your business leaves when you leave. It's done. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important, if we're looking at like what it is to be an entrepreneur, we need to also look at it in what respect does it create and add to a legacy that we're going to pass down. And so it sounds like you've thought about this a few times on what type of legacy you're going to pass down. And so my question would be for you is not, have you thought about it, but where are you in the process of leaving your own legacy?
So my process currently now is making sure that I produce enough literature, which means books,
Mm-hmm.
that my children are able to still continue to show individuals what I've done, pretty much showcase the things that I've did, from even me painting on canvas. You know, some people do not know I do a lot of different things. So, making sure that I put enough books out here that are helping people. And that's what I'm continuing to work on outside of, the Art of Connection. That is one of my first foundations to be that best-selling author and be international. But my name attached to that book has helped me along the way. And so that's a huge thank you to you, because I never would have thought I would have sat down and said, let me put myself in this book. So here it is now. I'm embarking on book 3, but then I have all these other books out there that I'm working on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a firm believer. You know, I don't know if Melvin knows this. He's coming on the show after you, but and I don't even know if you know this, but I used to be a really good athlete in high school and college, and when I went into the Marine Corps, I set the Marine Corps record for sit-ups,
Oh.
and which was pretty amazing that I felt. But then I was talking about place in history. And so my mom and I were talking about it, and she kind of put it in perspective. And we were talking about, the Art of Connection book being in the Library of Congress, but we're doing something that is first in history. And she says, even in the United States, there's a lot of presidents, but there's only one first president, and everyone remembers that person. She says, you always remember that who is first in history, but you may not remember everyone that follows. And what I love about what she said about that is this next book, Art of Connection, Volume 5, the Book of Abundance. We are creating history, Tiffany, and we are going to be a part of a place where it's the first time in history that every author is going to have a certificate that shows that they have a piece of themselves in the Library of Congress. And a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, what's so big about the Library of Congress? And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's the largest academic library in the world that's actually used by our Congress and the Supreme Court. And not only that, it acts as an educational and knowledge conduit to all major universities in the United States, if not other places in the world. So when your book that's in there is getting accessed, you are attaining an international presence. And so that's it's just like, so I think sometimes we throw things out there, right? So often, but do we pause just long enough to think like, oh yeah, I am.
I'm a
That's
big deal.
Good. And this too from our class series, over 5,500 books are produced every day on Amazon alone. When you say that you're an international best-selling author in categories within Amazon, that is still saying something, considering only 1% of all entrepreneurs actually get their own solo books published. So I want to say, congratulations on that. So I'm gonna step into a different hat here. And the big hat is I'm a military guy. I spent 6 years in the United States Marine Corps, and I served proudly. I got to go to the beautiful country of Panama to do a lot of my service. And that, let me just say, that was an interesting time. And I'm dating myself for those who know when, we gave the Panama Canal back. But you brought up your son, 25 years old, and he is in the United States Army. I mean, in the crazy world, we see all things going on, all over the place. As a mom, I'm sure you have a sense of pride, having your son in, serving proudly in the Army, but there's probably maybe also a sense of worry. How do you reconcile those two things? Having a business, going through, a living change yourself from going, to an empty nester, and now seeing what's going on out there and saying, gosh, what, I love my son. I respect what he's doing, but come on, come home safe. What does that do, being a mom in your position?
Well, it's often a struggle. I have to check his social media to make sure he's okay.
Oh.
I do. It used to be a point when he first got in, we would text every couple of days. As the years progress, I'm like, you have to check in like at least once a week. And I'm like, yeah. So I've gotten the habit now with still embracing this of, sending a simple meme or something early in the morning, whether he responds or not, great. Lately, I've been getting texts at like 11:50 our time, so at night, and I'm like, "Do you realize what time it is? Like, you're 16 hours ahead of me." And I try not to be mean, but I'm like, I should be grateful because
Yeah.
some parents do not have their children contacting them. So with him being overseas, I have to balance the two. I try not to worry. I try to say, "Are you okay?" But I also don't want him to worry about me. And I often have to tell him I am okay, but I do miss you, right? I'm
Mhm.
been up on 2 years of not physically having him in sight at all, and
Mm.
it's hard. It's very hard.
Oh my goodness. I just want to make sure that everyone knows who I'm with out here. I just want to let everyone know I'm with Tiffany Myles. She's a best-selling author in The Art of Connection, by the way. She's a military mom and founder of Amora Notary. You can contact her at notaryisign@gmail.com or call her at 480-487-3049. And Tiffany, that kind of brings us, to some other areas. And, sometimes I mean this. Sometimes when we talk about being a notary, we have this perception in mind that, well, the bank has the notary, and you signed a little legal document, and it's kind of a peaceful kind, non-threatening, type of job, But I don't think that there's a lot of situations where being a notary, you're actually, being a part of sometimes very conflictive and even combative situations. And I don't think that people understand, or even emotional situations like, the aged and even families fighting over maybe different values,
Yes.
in, let's say, inheritance that a person may have. When you come into these very conflicted and combative situations, how do you stay rooted? How do you stay resolute in what you do and make sure that you get your job done?
So I first let them know I do follow the notary handbook for the state of Arizona. I'm very firm with it. I don't take fake IDs and things like that. That's kind of sometimes where it gets to, the individuals in the hospital, they don't have ID and they still want you to notarize those documents. So those are like good questions I ask first. Then I ask, are they mentally stable? Because I've
Mm-hmm.
gotten into situations where, the person signing is not stable. You have, the daughter wants to fight with, the mom, sign here, sign here. So I stay neutral and I say, this is the law and this is what needs to be done. If you guys can't follow, I physically remove myself. I would never put my commission online for anybody. And I'm very particular, even when I notarize for friends, I will not notarize for very, very close friends to me at all. It's just something I don't do. And of course, we can't notarize for family, but I am very careful on the ones that I notarize because you can get yourself in a situation like other notaries have and have a felony out here and really ruin your notary career on paper for these type of issues.
Yeah, and I don't really think that people understand how legislated your profession is.
Hmm.
And and what's remarkable to me is, you know, not only are you being legislated, you're actually taking certain liberties to also create even more professionalism within the notary industry. Tell us a few of your initiatives that you are really pursuing right now in the state of Arizona.
So in the state of Arizona, so currently I am a part of the National Notary Association. I am the ambassador for Arizona. So basically, I'm the one that advocates, one, here for notaries. Two, I am working on some bills in the state of Arizona related to remote online notarizations, elderly abuse, and also homelessness. And my biggest advocacy is really for the notaries. Notaries are overlooked and many notaries are not doing things the way they should. So I want to add some extra legislative bills out there to kind of rule out those notaries that are just doing notary just because. This is not a just because type of profession. Many people do this career on a daily basis and they exercise different services like myself. And those that are not doing it properly, I feel that they need to be removed. And so I want to put different bills out there and present them to the House of Representatives so that they can know that not only am I advocating for Arizona notaries, but I'm also advocating for other things as well.
Yeah, yeah, and tell us a little bit about notary itself. And this is the way I want to frame the question. When we think, and I'm just saying the layperson, the public, when we think about notary, we do think of notary in certain silos, but notary actually can be empowering and can provide so much more than probably what we understand. Tell us some ways that business owners, family members, partnerships can actually use notaries, for the betterment of their business and actually create, greater and more, let's say, profitable alliances.
Right. So of course everyone needs an estate plan at some point in time. So everyone needs a will at some point, maybe even a trust depending on what you have. Individuals get married all the time overseas and locally. We also do a service called apostilles. So those are basically authenticating documents to travel out the country or even work abroad. We also work with FBI investigation reports. We deal with everything on the legal level that you can and possibly think of. I specialize as well in the real estate transactions. So doing those, making sure that warranty deeds are recorded properly. I mean, everything under the sun can be notarized. I mean, I've done adoptions, you name it, it's been done.
And having items notarized, and you could probably do it for many different things, more so than we probably utilize it for. They actually, at the end, they also create another layer of peace of mind for both parties, don't they?
They do. So we also have online notarizations, which I also do. So I can notarize a person from the comfort of their home, just like we're talking right now with two-way camera. And after they authenticate, their documents are on the screen. So this is a very secure process. And currently Arizona has not added it, but my goal is to add it, is to add biometrics. So basically making sure that not only is it reading the ID, but it's reading the facial things that are projecting into the actual screen to make sure that person is who's notarizing.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's just amazing what technology is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you are where you're at, and, we talked about legacy a little bit earlier, in the next, 1 to 3 years, what does entrepreneurship look like for you?
Well, I don't want to stop. I have scaled back from doing regular notary work. So my regular notary work would be driving so much. I am working more of being at home and doing those notarizations online. And then growing growing my books, shall I say. I am working on a series just like Art of Connection, and it's going to be quotes as well. So Get Lifted will be a series that will continue to encourage everyone from mental health to entrepreneurs, you name it, it'll be able to support. So continuing that are my next biggest things outside of fighting legislation for advocacy in the state of Arizona.
In other areas, just pushing you a little bit, what about, speaking, public speaking to get the word out there? What are your thoughts on speaking?
So I have been speaking. That is a vision board that's on my vision board. I did recently speak this past Saturday to the National Association of Professional Process Servers, which is a national agency, and there were about 100 and something, maybe a little bit more, of process servers statewide. So I was able to talk to them collectively about remote online notarization and how it can benefit their business. So I am looking for more speaking engagements. So that's also on my radar, but I have spoke every month in the month of 2024, whether you believe it or not.
Well, I look forward to seeing you speak more and hearing you speak more. Again, everyone, I am with Tiffany Myles. She's a best-selling author, military mom, and founder of Amora Notary. You can contact her at notaryisign at gmail.com or call her at 480-487-3049. Tiffany, thank you so much for being on the show today. I hope I made it a great place to connect.
Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you, Tiffany. All right. How awesome was that? I was with Tiffany Myles, best-selling author, military mom. And I mean, I got a heart for military moms, everyone out there. I have a heart for military moms. She's also a founder of Amora Notary. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being on today. And speaking of military, speaking about my brothers, I am bringing on Melvin Bates Boone. Melvin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself?
I am good. I am with Melvin Bates Boone. I love it. Beat the hit maker. I'm telling you, like, rock the beat. Here I am, everyone. I'm with Melvin Bates Boone. He's a best-selling author as well in the book, The Art of Connection. We made our acquaintance at the Military Influencer Conference in Las Vegas in 2023. I'm going out at 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm hoping you're going to be there too, Melvin, because we're going to have some great times out there. Melvin, you're owner of Bates Boone Records. You can contact him at batesboone, BATESBOONE at gmail.com or call 702-978-3526. Melvin is a USAF megastar and record producer, and I'm so glad you're here on the show today, Melvin. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, Melvin, yeah, absolutely. Now, we got to meet out at the Military Influencer Conference, and I'm going to tell you this. What really impressed me about you is I have a saying. I say, to find success, you have to have the attitude, you have to have the aptitude, but you know what? The one thing that sometimes we fail in is you have to have the appetite. You have to have that hunger and drive to just get, stuff done. I almost lost it right there. Get stuff done. And you did. I mean, at the event, you went out, you met, you greeted, you had the smile, you shook the hands, you did it in a tireless and amazing way. And that really influenced me. And it really made me see, this guy has it. You have a design in mind. You're still been in the military, but you also have your second act up and ready to go. And that was really, really impressive to me. Tell me, how do you wear both hats? Owning a record label, being a producer, but then also, having the full-time gig of being in the military as well. That has to be challenging at times, right? Or you just do it with a magic wand?
I wish I had a magic wand to do that. It's a tight line that you got to walk. I take care of the service first, and then what's left, I make sure I pour into my business. You have to find that time to do what you love and what you like at the same time, and do what's necessary. So you got to do both. You can't just do one, or the other one will fail. And if you only do one, then the other one will fail.
And that's really interesting, because one of the things I like to say is sometimes one hand has to feed the other. And, in many ways, your military career is feeding your next act. until you get that next act, and it's going to be feeding yourself. And then all of a sudden you look in the mirror, but the military itself provides a lot of foundation for you to be where you're at now, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Met a lot of good connections in the military, still making those, and some I've had for before the military that I'm still, influencing on. So it's all about that, having that connection and having that good foundation, and the military provided a good foundation for me. Getting me out of my neighborhood,
Yep.
Showing me the world.
Yeah. And so it definitely creates a lot of stability. And one of the things that for me, at least in my experience, and I don't want to take away from your experience, but from my experience, I found when I went in, the military opened up to my eyes to people. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, crazy people and cool people. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, in my just in boot camp itself, I mean, there was guys from China, there was guys from Cuba, there was, people from Mexico, different states, there was black people, there was white people, there was brown people, there was just a lot of damn people, and they said, yeah. and even within that, I mean, we were all so very different. But the one thing that really impressed me in Marine Corps boot camp is, at the end of the day, all that didn't matter. All that mattered was, we all had a mission, we all had a limited amount of time, and we just had to get it done. And, that is the thing that I loved about the military, that you don't get out in that world out there. We're all free to do this, that, and the other, and kind of really live kind of cheaply in a way, without paying a sacrifice, and that's why I love, those who have served in the military, because we understand life in a different way. We understand the mission, the grind that comes with it, and both the celebration and the satisfaction of, getting through that grind. Is your experience similar to mine, Melvin? And Melvin's adjusting his camera and probably maybe setting up his mic a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure that he got my question. So in your experience about being in the military, was it similar as mine? I just wanted to make sure. Melvin, can you hear me right now? All right. Again, everyone, I'm with Melvin Bates Boone. He's a best-selling author and founder and owner of BatesBoone Records. You can contact him at batesboone@gmail.com or call 702-978-83. I'm sorry, 278-3526. Melvin is the United States Air Force megastar and record producer. And the question I was asking Melvin was, as I was talking about my experience in the military, and I was seeing if his experience was very similar to mine, about, kind of having a melting pot of, many different people all coming together from all different walks of lives, even religions, etc., all coming together to have a mission. And in a way, there was no time, for bias or prejudice. It was like we just had to get a job done. And there became this what we called a esprit de corps. And so that's what you call it in the military. And that esprit de corps was an amazing place for all of us to, to come together, to unify as one. And one of the things that I have found, in my life as a Marine is, in winning, there can only be one, but with success, you could take everyone. And that's one of the things that I found in my military life, is I've transferred that over to my entrepreneurial life. And in my entrepreneurial life, I have definitely found that it takes a team. And guess what? Talent knows nothing but talent itself. So, Melvin, I just wanted to get your take on, your experience in the Air Force, and if you found it to be the same way as I have.
As far as talent goes,
as far as being a part of that mixing, that melting block, blob or whatever, that tossed solid, so
Absolutely.
to speak.
They take people from all walks of life, like you said, from here, from there, foreign and domestic, and they put us all together, and we come up with the best stuff. That's how you get to meet a lot of people. That's how you diversify. You can't just, if you do one cookie cutter, then you won't have a good blend of people and a good outcome, because everything will be one sided. You need those different backgrounds to make up the best in people.
Yeah, another saying that I say is like, embrace diversity, but let's work towards unity. And I've really, yeah, I've really found that really is a part of, how I live my life as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, as an author. See, diversity causes me to go into a space that I've never known before. It gets me to say things I've never said, think things I've never thought, go places I've never been, and do things I've never done. And, that's what I love about diversity. And when you can tie it in, with foundational focus and clarity and vision and mission, I mean, quite frankly, as a person, as a company, as a community, you can do anything, can't you?
That's right. You can get anything done when you diversify like that. When you have a lot of different people coming together for one common goal, staying focused, you're able to accom- accomplish any task that you set your mind to.
Yeah. So when we met out in Las Vegas, I told you about the book, and I was putting it together, and you got to see some of, I'd like to say, the crew, coming in. We had people coming in from all around the nation, didn't we, for
We
I'm
did.
Entrepreneur and Art of Connection. So something touched you. I mean, there was other military personnel, and some came into the book, and many just didn't. They didn't see the value. They didn't see the connection proposition. Maybe they just thought we were all just too ugly. I don't know, but but you didn't. You saw something else. I mean, you saw Jeffrey Morris, and you saw Eric Ranks, and John Verico, and Dave Ray, and the list goes on of people. What did you kind of see in that community? Was it because there was this, not just the military element, but maybe the entrepreneurial element that kind of attracted you to us? Or, what did you see to say, I need to connect with those cats?
I saw a lot of entrepreneurs working together, and when you guys said that you all were authors, that really surprised me, because that's not something that you hear from a lot of people this day and time, that people have written multiple books and they're all bestsellers. And I'm like, you know what? This is somewhere that I feel that I could be. I want to get in with these guys. They seem like a bunch of good guys. I don't want to miss the opportunity to connect with some real guys doing good things for the community.
And I appreciate that you put that trust in me, because, you and I told you, I'm like, okay, you're stuck with me now. I told you, I said, you come into this, I want you to come on my radio show. I want you to connect with us in the author circles chapters. I want you to meet, some of the entrepreneurial community, and there, because like I said, Melvin, there's so many more great things to do. How infrequent and how is it that, someone says something and it actually comes to fruition this day and age?
You have to pick the right people to have that, to say a word and stand on that word. A lot of people, will change up on you. I hear it all the time. They be like, hey, they make promises that they can't keep. That's not something that you did. You said it, and you stood by it, and I appreciate that.
You know,
Definitely.
and so which brings us to a world in certain ways, in my mind, is it's so like 180-degree opposite of the military. And I only say that because, for me, I was a roadie. I was also a club DJ, and I also worked for a radio station, believe it or not. And so I spun records and loved it. Used to do raves. And, it is like the total opposite in many ways, than the military. I mean, but one thing that I applied from that world, the world of music, was creativity. And, a lot of that creativity isn't just in how it manifests, it's creativity in the way that we think. And I think that, you know, we can also spin it around. There's also a certain amount of creativity in structure, in process, in strategy, in planning. And I think that when you apply both, like, with Batesboone Records, I mean, anything's achievable, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like you said, it you have that good structure, and then you mix in a little bit of creativity, you can come up with some great stuff. You never want to just box yourself in. You want to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working, when you're working with talent, because I think it's very, very important. Like in my industry, I think of things as being a talent scout myself. I want them to get on my stage. I want to do a joint venture with them. I want them to be in a book, or, let me help you promote and write your book. Another one might be, come on to our, we're taking people in for our television network. It really is all about, seeking talent, for the betterment of the organization. And in the same way for Batesboone Records, you have to do the same thing. I mean, you have to go out there and you really have to assess the talent, but it goes even more deeper than that, because some of the most talented people in the world, still aren't the best artists in the world. And then you have some of the best artists in the world, and they just aren't talented. you know I see the smile. And
You're
so,
right.
as a man of vision, you have to be able to kind of cut through in a way, and you have to assess people, not just for what they do, but for who they are. How deep is that kind of harmony that you got to create when you're actually bringing someone on into your label?
You definitely got to get out there and get to know the people. You don't want just a talent. You also don't just want a person. You want somebody that has both. Somebody that can make a good song and also genuine, because a lot of people, once they connect with the person, that's what they really vibing off of, the connection that you build through your music, not just a good song, because that's how you get one hit wonders. You come up with
Right.
a song out of nowhere and then you can't duplicate.
you know, and I'm glad you brought that up. Art of connection. The connection to audience is probably one of the number one things that breaks or creates an amazing artist, isn't it?
Absolutely. You have to have that connection. It's all about that bond. It's all about having something that you guys share together. It makes the connection that much easier. Like when you share similar likes or loves, or that person touches you, you guys are going through the same story. You like, no, this is my story. If I only had the words and the music, this would be me. And that's
Yeah.
that's what builds the connection right there.
Oh, I mean, there is nothing like it's like, oh my God. It reminds me of like when I was a kid. Oh my God, I felt like the pastor was speaking strictly to me,
Hmm.
and that's what a great artist does. They weave a story in their own art form that just creates a connection that's memorable and impactful. And I think that's what it is about entrepreneurship too. In your business, there's a lot of competition. And in your business, there is an inequity of really good producers and poor producers, and people who are posers and imposters, and those that are the real deal. And in a way, not only is the talent vying for your time, you also kind of have to vie for their time, don't you?
You do. You have to continue to be on their minds up front and personal with them. You got to keep reaching out. You don't just let it go stale. You got to build a stronger, better bond
Yeah,
to keep that connection going. Let them
yeah,
know
and
that you're there for them.
yeah, absolutely. So in your world, and this is going to kind of go a little bit deeper on this. So in your world, um, you're going to be making this change. It's coming soon. The Air Force isn't going to, it's in your rear view. And, right. And being a solo, being an entrepreneur, it's all in front of you. But in this little time that you're making this transition, what are some things that you've learned about yourself? Some of the things that you've learned about yourself that you didn't know.
That nothing is promised. That's one thing. You got to make sure that you have a good goal in mind, and you got to make sure that you have a way to get there. Make sure that your next step is your best step or move, however you want to look at it. And just eventually, you like you said, you got to let that go, let it go. The past is the past, and you can only move forward to the future. And just set your sights high. Aim for the what they say, aim for the moon, and you'll land amongst the stars, right?
Yeah, I love it. And then also, I like to say sometimes when you're at the top of the pyramid, it's very lonely because you're the only one. What do you do, in advisement, because I'm sure that there's trusted allies around you that also feed you good knowledge, good information, and really keep you, foundational and grounded. I was talking today, we're having a workshop, and one of the questions came up, and it says, what do you do to continually root yourself into the ground so you can become more, abundant in, what you offer? Tell us a little bit about your support structure. How do you go about developing it? And, what does that support structure look like?
So you definitely got to stay grounded. I stay grounded in the word. I have a higher power that I look up to, which is God. I wake up in the morning and I immediately thank him. And I'm close to my pastor and my parents. They keep me rooted, and family, grandma, grandpa, and just family like that. You got to have that strong structure to so that you don't ever fall off the track, that you keep going. Every day is a new day. You got to wake up and do it again. You said it before. You got to be hungry. You got to go out there and get it. It's not just going to be given to you. You got to go out there and make it.
Yeah. And in your life, like me, I can look at people over my lifetime. You know, in your lifetime, who are people that you look to and you're like, you know what, that person has it, and I'm gonna, if I can't be like them because I'm not them, but I want to model some things after them. Who are some of the mentors in your life, and what did you learn for them?
You definitely want to look to people that are being successful in the business that you're doing. So any top producers or any top hit makers, you want to look up to those guys and just pick up an art form from them, and like they stick to it. They have a set schedule, and you just try to model what you do after that. But you also got to bring your part of the story. You have to be uniquely you, because you don't want to just be a duplicate. Nobody wants imitation, they want the new stuff. So even though you look up to these people, you definitely have to stay true to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And when you look at every day, I mean, because I look at it all the time. I'm like, man, every day is not made equal. Every day is not made equal. And there are some days I don't even want to get up out of bed and face the day, but I, like, for me, I meditate and I pray because I have a higher power as well, and that gets me through. And I'm probably thinking that does with you, as well, but you know, how much of a role does, let's say, God have in your life, in inspiration, motivation, and impact?
Definitely a big motivation. Every like I said, when I wake up in the morning, he's the first person I think. And on almost every song that I do, I say, Bless this track, Father," because I know that without him, there would be nothing. Through him, I can do all things because he strengthens me. So I would say that he's a number one key piece. Without the Father, there would be no us. So I just have to continually give him praise and thank you for that.
I
Definitely.
love that. I love that. And here's another question, and it's all about just the business. Technology is changing so much right now. With the advent of AI, I mean, it's writing job descriptions, it's creating marketing plans, it's even, I don't know, probably, doing radio shows for all I know, right? I mean, and I'm like, man, is there going to be room for invention and innovation, creative thought, intellectual property? What is it doing to music right now? What does the future look like for the music business with the advent of AI and all that's going on in its world?
Definitely AI is a big key component to today's music, to the point where they AI is so good that you have a hard time deciphering if it's AI or if it's real. So
Mm.
you just keep your ears tuned and you make sure that it's not AI, but you can use it for sure. It's a cheat code, a shortcut, however you want to look at it, because they'll do it all for you. Just have the right program, and just AI is the way of the future. But it's music, and AI isn't creative. You still need to have that creativity behind the AI. It's just up for it's a set it and go.
Right.
It's nothing new. It's already there. It's a program, and people aren't programs. They're people. We're
Yeah.
all human, and we're all different, and we're all
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, I look at, I mean, to me, I look at AI as like this way. If you want to listen to the oldies, then, get AI. But if you want to go into the future, it better be human, HI,
Mhm.
human being intelligence, and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. Go HI, not AI, so, Melvin, I mean, and I better say it again, everyone, I am with Melvin Bates Boone. He's a best-selling author in the book, The Art of Connection, founder and owner of batesboone Records. He is in the wonderful city of Las Vegas, Nevada. I got to come see you. My daughter lives out there. Let's do something sometime soon. You can contact him at batesboone@gmail.com. That's batesboone@gmail.com, or call him at 702-978-3526. Melvin, and I put mega superstar, but you're actually a weapons development expert, aren't you?
Absolutely. That's my job in the Air Force. Loader by trade, not currently doing that anymore. Just watching other people do it, still getting the love from it. But yes, that's it. Air Force.
Oh my goodness. So, when this guy says, he carries a big stick in the record industry, you better know it.
We'll drop a
Mel,
bomb.
that's right. What is the old song? A drop a bomb on you? Remember
That's
the
it.
Gap Band?
Oh yeah. You drop
Oh,
a bomb on me,
baby,
baby.
you dropped a bomb on me. Oh,
That's it.
actually, when I was a kid, that was like one of my favorite bands. So, I mean, I thought they were the bomb.
They are good, very good. The Gap Band, I love them.
All right. Melvin, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you. And I say we do this again. What do you think?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you. Everyone, I was with Melvin Boone's Bates, and he came onto the show. I mean, I'm sorry, Melvin Bates Boone. Melvin Boone Bates, MBB, the BB goes either way. I want to thank him for being on the show today, and I want to thank you for being here with us. Remember, we are here every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30 each and every week, unless we have something crazy going on that week and I have to attend to something else. But you have places to go and things to do, but you took this time and space to do it with us. I want to say thank you for it. Make it a great week, everyone. And until we see you again, take care.
You've been watching the iNetrepreneur Show, a production of the iNetrepreneur Radio Network, with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.